Hello, my name is Celeste Jacobi, and I'm working on my queen bee today. I have a little bit of time to myself to work on this, so I'm going to just do a little recording and talk about the process. So if you want to take a listen and learn something, you're more than welcome. Or I'm going to be doing a time-lapse piece. It's going to be kind of fun, so or you can just check that out. Anyhow, so right here is my piece on wood panel, and you can see I got some references in here. And I have one piece that I've worked on over the past few months on the right, and that gives me a reference of what I'm trying to do. So at this moment I want to go in and start to work more on her hair. It's one of the areas that's a little bit lighter on the painting process, so I just want to get some colors in there. And I have right here my small round tip brush. I'm still going to get some tracking. There we go. Yep. There. And some of the colors I'll be using is this dioxide purple. I like this one for shadows. I try to avoid blacks or things like that. I like this one. The ultramarine blue is also fantastic. So I can zoom in on that. Oh, tracking. There we go. So, and then I'll be using this permanent magenta. These are really old tubes. I'm going to get to my paints faster. So, a little bit of white, of course, and also one of my favorites is this Naples yellow. This stuff's great. I love it. Let me zoom in on that. There we go. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put my brush into some water, and make sure I've got the right tracking on this. I'm doing my own video. There, okay, one on the B, there we go. All right, so I'm going to clean off the tip of my brush, got in some water, and I'm just going to take the pink right here. Let's see, right there. This is the magenta I'm going into. And I'm just going to lightly kind of wash it in, so that way it's just more of a tint. So I can kind of see where I'm going with this. She has some flowers around her. There can be some other decorative pieces, but I'll go back and readjust that later. So right now I'm just trying to lay out where the color is going to be at. So it doesn't have to be these perfect strokes right now, it's just more of the color map. And as I tell everyone, this is just my process. Everyone else, everyone's different. So what I say is not, the final rule, of course. It's whatever you enjoy doing, or once you start getting a painting, if you do, defining or understanding the process that you like. But what I learned was watching other people, so, which is why I decided to share this. Right now the piece is probably only about a third of the way in. There's lots to do. There we go, just wanted to get her little beehive hair, her mound of hair going on. So now I get a sense of where that's going to be at. And then in here's lots of ribbons happening, some decorative pieces, and some feathers and flowers. So the next thing I'm going to do is kind of go back down here. I did some background earlier last time, and so some of the greens have come in and overlapped on her hair. So I'm just going to go in and just kind of try to bring some of that back into it. And throughout this whole process, I'll always kind of be jumping back and forth on bringing things in and out as far as lights and darks and colors. So this is the second wash on this one, so it's going to be a little bit darker. And you can see I was a little bit sloppier up here as far as getting colors in. Now I'm going to start to just kind of work more with my brush in the direction of the hair, just so it looks more realistic as opposed to just random lines everywhere. So I'm not going left and right because that's not going to make sense for the hair. I'm curving things out a little bit more, pushing it out, and trying to do more of that curl look. And don't be worried if it kind of gets more into the eye over here. you know, that's just a way to kind of shift the color reflections back and forth, because those things will slightly be picked up, and it gives a nice tone. Bring that down there. Okay, so still on focus there. All right, and I'm getting a little bit lower in the hair, but I'll come back up. Just doing the same thing down there. Then up here, I'll start to kind of go in this swooping direction to the right. And get some more longer strokes in there. And as you see, the paint's already somewhat smoothing out. Let me track in. You can see right there. So painting's just basically a bunch of layers to get that final look you're trying to achieve. And like I said, it's just one style of painting. You know, there's the impasto style if you want things thicker, which I kind of like doing that at the end with things that are have highlights on it. So anything that's like, you know, the very corners of leaves or flowers, or those one little spots where it just looks like it's kind of glowing, that's where I like to put on thicker paints, which is the impasto style. Just do like one big dollop of paint in that area to give it some texture. So I like to transition on textures also. I think it makes the painting look a little more interesting and gives it more depth. All right. Just got some very magenta hair. So this would probably be more of my mid-tone color. So from here out, I'll be working in lights and darks once that dries. So I'm gonna go to the top and try to get this set in. So once again, just going into that, you know, swooping, the angle the hair would come in. And I'll just have to come back in later and add the jewelry on top of the hair. That was a little thick. I'm going to go with some water. Spread that a little more. I'll probably go in with a fan brush or a flat brush and try to get some bigger strokes on this one. So make sure I fill in all the angles. Okay. That one's set there. These are flowers right here. So I'm going to go on with this fan brush. This is really good for blending. Let me focus on that. This is really good on blending colors. So we get the focus. Oh, too close. 1 second here. There's the fan brush. All right, take it back out. And just kind of work that through just to break it up a little bit. I'm gonna do it down here just a little. Just kind of helps us spread the color a little bit more. So I really like wood panel, but man, it sucks up the pigment fast. This really is only my second piece on wood panel, so I'm sure there's something I'm missing. I'm probably gonna put more layers of clear gesso on it, and I think there was something about a sealant. And I reached out to an artist group on Facebook and I got some tips, so I need to go back and revisit that before I do my next panel. Yeah, you learn as you go. All right, so now I have these mid-tones happening. It's kind of nice. It's not too thick, it's not too light. So what I'll probably do is from here go in and work in the darks in these areas. So I'm gonna jump into my dioxide purple. I'm gonna go back to using this brush, a small round tip, and the dioxide purple is this one. Here it is on my palette over here. Let me get to that corner. And yes, I use Tupperware as palettes every once in a while. I just want to recycle stuff. It's perfect for a palette. Alright, and usually what I'll do is I'll kind of roll and pull back just to give it a nice tip so it's really smooth. There you go. Okay, so I'm looking at my reference over here, if you can see that. I'm always looking back at this piece. I want to make sure that I'm keeping an eye on the lighting and I don't lose that, because once lighting starts happening everywhere, it gets a little confusing. So just kind of keep paying attention to what lighting source you're using. It's more coming down from this angle. So I'm going to really work on trying to darken this area a little bit more. And then anything off on this side a little bit. Over here would be a little bit darker. Anything that's kind of tucked under her face. So let me just get in this area and I'll start to paint that. And I work from left to right, so I'm not smearing my hand over. So it depends on what hand you are. If you're lefty, you probably want to go from right to left. Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with. So I'm going to go in here. I might do a few on this side and see I'm hitting right on that curve where the under part of the hair would be, just to make sure that that's really dark. I'll probably come back in later and put a lighter magenta in there. So really thinking about how things curl and the form to put your darks in the right spaces. So as you can see already, it's getting a little bit darker. The other one I had earlier was a brown, an umber brown. So this is just which I think is a nice complementing color. It pulls in a lot of the other colors the magenta has, this purple. I'm going to try to go just a little bit lighter on my brush strokes so I can keep that really fine line. Because we're starting to get into the hair a little bit more. It might be a little bit darker under the antenna. It's not right up against her face, but it's kind of close, so I'm just going to do some shading right there. Like I said, these things are really subtle, but it all starts adding up in the end. The process is tedious, yes, but it's just fun to watch it kind of come together. And I've had some people ask me about why I chose to do bees, and I'm trying to remember exactly how this one came about. I believe I started gardening a lot more when I moved to Oregon and just paying attention to what was happening in the garden. And of course, like most people, I didn't really have an appreciation for bees until you start to realize what they do for you. And like I said, that probably would have never really happened unless I started gardening. So, you know, some people consider them a nuisance and a pest, and that's, you know, I was definitely in that camp for a while, but now I really appreciate everything they do with pollinating, and I think they're quite lovely. They're kind of cute. Like, look at this one up here. Maybe you can see it. This is, I saw this piece online a while ago. It was a photograph, and I just fell in love with this bee. Isn't she cute? So I just feel like you know, the little appendages, the arms in the front, look like it's just kind of cupping under her chin like this. And so I just thought it was sweet, and I wanted to work on, you know, giving bees kind of a different look. I wanted to put them in a setting that kind of anthropomorphized them and make people think kind of about them in different ways, just to kind of either have a silly story behind it, something different. It's kind of the way I look at my artwork, is introducing subjects in a different way so that it just gives people a chance to see things in a different light. And, you know, some people like it, some people don't, and you know, that's what art's about. Let's see, the recent one was the seahorse, and that one was fun. I also like the idea of taking things that are just, you know, obviously really overlooked. I mean, most people don't really think about, you know, smaller marine lives or insects. So I like taking small, you know, small objects or small insects, you know, our marine life that's really teeny, and kind of giving it a voice, our presence that most wouldn't think about. Once again, just trying to, you know, give things a narrative. I had someone else ask you know, what the stories would be behind them. Unfortunately, I don't have that much capacity or time to think about a story behind them. I would love to be able to do that at some point. So, you know, maybe in some other time I'll be able to sit down and think of stories behind them. But when I'm painting, I just really enjoy the process of just laying the paints down and seeing how it changes. I've tried to kind of just let things go a little bit more, especially as I get older. I think that helps just to not have, you know, not have something so precise exactly what you want. I mean, yes, I spent a lot of time working on this concept piece over here, but I've also been very flexible on changing things while working on her. So I'm always open to reinterpretation of it as I'm doing it. Lost a little focus there, and go back in. So if you could see, let me zoom in there. I have to bring it lower. You can already see it's starting to have a little bit more textures and curls kind of showing a little bit, just giving it that depth. Let me change the angle here for a little bit. All right, just one moment. Bring this down. Just want to zoom in and then lower this. There. Okay. I lock in. Okay. Let me turn this back. Okay, make sure you got the right angle there. Yeah. So I can get a little bit more. All right. Okay, just going back into the purple. And you'd also notice that around the green area, it'll start to kind of pick that up too, which is all, it's good stuff. You want that to happen. It's kind of nice to just have the colors all work together. Whenever I do hair, I think of Creatrix and his beautiful posters he created for the Moulin Rouge. I love all their hairstyles. Big swooping hair, you know, large curly hair pieces, very decorative. Put there. I'll probably go in and put a few more darks around the eye. When I get to the eye part, I'll be doing a lot more lighter highlights to really make sure that these two pieces don't blend in too much and they look separate. A few more darks there. So it's kind of fun to share the process because every painting looks like crap when you first start it. It just does. It's funny, when I was doing murals for a while, I would document my process, you know, very, very in depth, just to show clients what to expect. And it's so funny, even though there was so much documentation, once you get started, I could tell there was lots of trepidation on what was happening and if it was going to turn out okay at the end. And so that's why I'm kind of a fan more of doing the videos, especially the time lapse. I can kind of see what happens. Like I said, in the very beginning, it's just very, very washed out colors. Looks pretty sloppy, but it's all the different hues and contrasts and little textures here and there. All right, so I think I've got a good amount of darks. I don't want to go too far in yet. I want to kind of keep that balance. So I'm going to start working a little bit more over here. Actually, I'll probably start. Yeah, I'll probably put a few up here. Make sure you see that. Yeah, sorry, it's starting to track me. There we go. Okay. Let's check in. Good. All right. laying down the paints. So once again, the light's coming in this way, so anything I do up here is going to be very subtle dark lines. When I get in here, I might see I'm pulling a lot more, just dragging it in. There's going to be a kind of medallion right here. That's the plan right now. It might change, as I said before. So, can you see that? Oh, let me zoom out. I apologize. I didn't realize you couldn't see that top part. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna go back into the top. Once again, I am gonna put less darks on this side, and I'm gonna put more down here. So make sure I got autofocused. I'm actually tapping my screen, trying to get that locked in. Okay, here we go. And it's already kind of a nice, a nice purple right now. It's not too heavy. Obviously, the more you go over top of it, the darker it gets. It might get a little bit darker here when it gets closer to the ribbon. So let's do a few up here, more down here, a few over here. And it kind of rolls right here. There's like a large roll, so I might put a few more dark pieces there because it's going under. And then over here, it's tucked in between the flowers. So I'm gonna put a few right here. And really get this line formation going. And it does tuck in here a little bit, so I'll put a few down this way. And then over here, it's starting to curve more, so I'll probably get a little bit darker with the purple on this side, because once again, the light wouldn't be hitting it as much. I just set that in right now. And it's really tucking pretty far to the right, so I'll put quite a few darks over there. And then I'll do a few in the center. Just a few really light lines at the top. I usually anchor my pinky down here. That really helps with trying to keep my hand steady when I'm doing these lines. All right, and remember to breathe. Sometimes you just get really intense trying to make sure you got the right lines, and you stiffen up, and then you forget to breathe. And you take that big air, that gasp. Okay, just kind of going back down there if you still see that. Yep. Still on the purple, so I can really work the color in. Once again, the hair is going to tuck down here, so I'm trying to get a little bit heavier on the purple. Probably pretty dark in this area around here. I would love to have this as a costume eventually. Keep thinking of my friend Caitlin, who makes amazing costumes, and my friend Paloma, who also does some fantastic work. I'll just see if one of those ladies wants to take that on. They do some kind of trade. All right, I'm kind of digging into this right now because I got a little bit of dried pigment on it, which doesn't look nice. It's a little clumpy looking, so I want to get that off. All right, so I got that off already. Now, chances are this is going to be dry in this area by now. Yep. Like I said, it just sucks all that pigment in. So I'm going to go back in with my dark one more time and try to get that just a little bit darker in certain areas. So I'll hit this area. A little bit under here where the ribbon's at. There's a tuck there. One thing I forgot to mention is to step back from your painting every once in a while. Take a look, make sure it's going the direction you want. All right, yay. Okay, I'm still on the right track. Still trying to figure out what color I want to use for the flowers. There might be a few combinations of things. I don't want to be too close to the hair color because I think it'll get lost. So, I don't know, maybe some oranges. Not quite sure yet. We'll see how this all starts to look with the ribbons. I don't want to go too crazy with the colors. Make sure they complement each other. So I'll probably put some, make sure you can see, yep, and focus. Ta-da, gotcha. All right. Oh, almost. Okay, just got it. All right, and going in. Curve this one down. Got some darks down there. I'll probably go with the ultramarine blue because that is a much darker and richer color than the dockside purple, and that will help to also make it look like it's kind of tucking under. So that'll be my next dark. Just going back on the top, pulling that in. I find painting to be super relaxing and incredibly enjoyable, and it would be nice to find more time for it. So that's my plan for this year. Let's give myself a little bit more time to work on paintings. Plus, I have a gallery show or art show coming up, so I really need to work on some more pieces. So that's kind of putting a fire under my butt, getting me going. So if you're in the Lane County area, there'll be a show, I think it's June, I need to check the calendar again, at the Springfield City Hall, where my mythic creatures, is what I call these, will be shown. I'll probably be bringing in I call my humans, which is my abstract pieces. I gave myself kind of an assignment a long time ago in art school that if I was to create abstract work of human form, what that would look like. That's where my humans were born, and I love them dearly also. They kind of give me that, shape and color break that I like, and just kind of trying to show emotion that way on very simple forms. Actually, I could probably show you one of my little pieces over here. Let me zoom out. I don't know if you can see this. Oh, it's super low. There it is. That's one of the humans. I had two other awesome pieces, but I did sell them, so someone else loves them now. All right. I'm going to pause here for a second because I just realized my battery's low, so before I lose this. All right, I'll be back in a moment. All right, back, and the battery's set, so we could get a little more time on this piece. So let me jump into, I mentioned we'll get a little more purple down here. So let me get some of that going, and then I will jump into the ultramarine blue to add that in and get it a little more dark. So make sure you guys see that. All right, we're set. Here we go, back into the purple here once again, and drag and roll. Call it the dragon roll. There you go, got that one. All right. Some more down this area. I can't wait to work on her cute little bee face. Got some great color ideas for that. So not only am I keeping it dark underneath, I'm going to keep some of the mid areas a little bit darker too. And what happens is when you put the highlights at the top, it really starts to kind of round out a little bit more in this area. Make sure I got focus on that. All right. It's one of those things that all comes together in the end. I guess like most things. But yes, going back to the bees. So I usually get an awesome nest of wasps by my little hobby vineyard. Not to say that I am good at that. Not really. I'm still struggling to grow grapes well here in Oregon. That's something I feel like I'd take a whole class on to learn, which would be awesome, but I still don't have the time. Anyhow, yes, so I had bees around for a while, which was pretty nice. Then wasps started coming in. So I gotta find a way to make sure they don't create a nest in my electric box is what they like to go into. But I was also reading that wasps, there's something that they do, their saliva, when it's put on grapes, starts the fermentation process early, or something that they do. I thought that was kind of fascinating. So they might be good. Oh no. They're kind of the punks or the bullies of the insect world. They definitely scared the bees away and kicked them out. I kind of like to see them come back. But they do hang out in my other little garden in the front and the back too, where the flowers are at, so they're still around. Just hiding a little bit. Okay, so I have all these other colors I'd like to get into. I've got my peach right here, got my white. I try to go pretty light with the white though. I may not be hitting that today, but I'll definitely be working some of the peach in with magenta. And then I also have this yellow right here. So that one is this one I mentioned earlier, the Naples yellow, which is one of my favorite colors. All right, and so I'll just kind of grab over that peach just to kind of show you. It might be a little more extreme on this angle, but just I'll do a quick one to kind of show you what highlights do. So this is just really a few small strokes just to suggest that the light's coming in. So you can already see how it really rounds out. Oh, sorry, the focus got lost there. Yeah, so you can see how it's a little bit light at the top. If I zoomed in really close, you see that this is probably a lot lighter than I want it to be. It just looks good from the distance the camera's at right now, so I'll probably go in later and cover it or just lightly do a wash of magenta on top of it. That's what's nice about doing these, these kind of layers and washes, is that you can always go over it with another color and just to kind of set it back and mute it a little bit. If I was using oils, which is another one of my favorite mediums, I'd be using liquid to help do that. Oils is a lot more of a commitment. It's time-wise, you really got to knock out a few hours. It's a luxury I don't really have at the moment, since I'm a mommy. I think most parents can relate. So it'll be acrylics for now. However, my daughter's 9, and I think we're going to start showing her how to use oil paints. So I might be getting back to it sooner than I think. Hopefully she enjoys it. We'll see. You never know. Okay, so once again, just doing a few lights here and there. I'll do a little tip there. You can see that. Yeah, okay. So the highlights usually have a lot more fine lines to them because it really is that last part of the detail. So that's a little bit more important to keep that cleaner as far as your line strokes. If you're just getting started into painting, I would just really recommend, just buying an artist grade paint, something at an art supply store, and get a few brushes and just really work on getting comfortable just, doing strokes, getting comfortable with the brush, how to hold it, to make sure you get the lines that you want. I did a lot of copying of other artists starting, I think I really started getting into it in 6th grade. And my mom always had us working on art projects, which was cool. So from a very young age, I was always touching, different mediums and playing around with things and seeing what worked and what didn't. But as far as really getting into painting and drawing, that didn't probably happen until about, I said, probably 6th grade. And what I did then was just copy cartoons a lot, Disney, Warner Brothers. So that was kind of my introduction to, doing those kind of things. And then in high school, somehow, I don't remember how I came across it, but I came across Salvador Dali's work. I want to say it was when I was going to a vocational school for desktop publishing. During my junior high and high school were, 2 schools together, or a school together. So we weren't separated. So, high school was also junior high. But I went to another school for at least I think it was about an hour or 2. And that was 4 days a week. And that's where I learned how to do more stuff on the computer, like desktop publishing stuff using, things like Photoshop, before Photoshop even. Most people didn't even know what that was. But once I started seeing other artwork, whether there was books presented to me or whatnot, that's where the possibilities just really opened up of what could be done. It made me start thinking how I wanted to present my art. Which is a hard thing to think about. It's not easy. The thing that drives me crazy the most is when I decided to go to art college at Cornish, they kept talking about how you needed to have a look and constantly stick to that look, which were some things I was okay with. Some things I love so much that I will definitely keep doing it, but I don't feel like it's healthy to keep doing the same thing over and over again. I think it's, who wants to do that? It's like saying, this is a job you have to do for the rest of your life. So, your brain it's flexible, it's malleable, it wants to learn things, and telling, people that they have to do one thing all the time, and not changing the look of it is kind of torture. So that was a hard one for me to kind of, deal with, and I really wasn't able to, which is why I have, kind of a variety of styles. It depends on, kind of how I'm feeling, what I'm looking at, what I feel like working on, what's happening around the world. Those things kind of influence too. Those are just factors you can't ignore. But, there's other artists that have pulled off really well. Looking at Picasso's work, he's got a variety of stuff. Not that I love everything, but, once again, you don't have to. It's just nice to see that, given the chance, you can create some really unique things and not be stuck doing the same thing over and over again. So, which is why I pushed more for going into illustration. It gave me that a little bit more variety. That I didn't think the fine art world would allow. But that was also in 96 to 98, so lots changed. Artists like Mark Ryden really opened the door when it comes to illustration in the fine arts world, and he probably wouldn't appreciate being called an illustrator, but he did do some commercial work, but his pieces are super impressive. This is my opinion. I love his work, and they're very fun to look at. There's lots going on. His execution is beautiful. He's got an amazing technique. It's very smooth. His transitions are flawless. I can't say enough about how much his work is amazing. But once again, he kind of turned the fine arts world on its head because people started collecting it like they were fine art pieces. So, and he's in the pop surrealism category, which if you've never seen his work, I recommend Googling it after you watch this, or now if you're done watching me. Anyhow, so here's another example of I'm definitely doing more of the lights up here at the top. I really want to set this in pretty heavy because this is where a lot of the light is hitting. So you can see I'm doing a lot more up here. And normally I have music playing. I love it, but I've noticed some of my videos don't get uploaded because the music is a copyright issue, so I can't do that right now. I'll do that on my own time. for the videos I don't, or the painting sessions I don't record. Alright, got a lot of texture now. So all these little lines make it start to really look like, you know, it's hair. I'm not liking this top corner, so I'm trying to work this out a little bit more. I might have to go in and put some magentas back in. Or it might be okay. I don't know. It looks a little bit too feathered right here. So I'll probably go back in later and put some magentas in. Alright, just make sure this is still focused. It's kind of hard to tell on this little screen. Just gonna tap it again. So over here, I'll probably put a few more lights. And I'll do a few over here, not too many. I'll just kind of peek a few around the corner. A little highlight teaser right there. And a little there. Take that down. Okay, we're getting somewhere today with the hair. I'm very excited. I like seeing progress. Alright, so do the dragon roll. Dragon roll. Where'd it go? There? Oh, there. So into the peach again, pull that through. And just get some more of this area. Just really try and keep those really light lines. Try and get a few at the top. Maybe some down here. A little more on the top over here. I'll just peek a few around the corner. Maybe a few in the center. Maybe the light might hit a few. So I'm going to have less and less coming on this side. I'll spread these out a little bit more, so you can see that. Touch that again. I'm getting paint all over my mic. Okay, I'm going to check the corner. Yep, you got that. Alright, and this would probably get some light hit on the outside a little bit more because it's kind of peeking past the eye. Maybe a few right above the curl. Maybe some down here. And this light also kind of helps separate what's happening around the tree. And probably a few over here. Okay, so there won't be too many in this area. It's definitely be more heavy on this side. So, it's a good time for me to step back and take a look. Let's make sure the battery's not dead. Looks like we're good. As far as the battery, the hair, yeah, it's about the right textures, the right colors. I really wanted kind of this cotton candy look. Still not too happy with this top left. I'm going to go back in and pull some magentas in. But I'll probably end up doing at the very end to tie it all together, probably one or two more passes on this. So let me just jump in with the magenta real quick. I'll keep that fairly light. I haven't done white yet, and it's not going to be that much. And like I said, I'll probably wait until the end. I think it's a little too early for that. Make sure I got tracking on this, and we're good. Alright, so I'm anchoring my finger again. I'm just going to pull a few lines through. So this is that, pushing and pulling the color. Get that brush a little wet. I just wanted to break that up, that area where it's a little too... You could tell it looked like the paint was just dried out. That's probably too big of a spot there, so I'm gonna... Sorry, I sometimes whisper. I'm just not used to recording myself. I usually talk to myself when I'm painting sometimes. There we go, okay. Alright. It's a little wet, but it's going to dry just fine. Let's see where else. It's a little, not really digging this side, so I'm just going to mute it back a little bit. I think everything else is, it's probably too much right here. Take that down a little bit. So lots of back and forth. Alright. So I think that part's good for now. what I'll probably do is jump in and work on the band, the hairband a little bit. I still haven't fully committed to what colors I want. I know the top one I like the blue and probably like a cream. I'm not sure what the bottom one should be yet. Maybe a lime green. So that's that might make me hesitate on going further on this one. So what I'll do here is just work in some of the blues, and I'm going to pause this for a little bit and get my palette set up. Okay. So I'm back, and I just wanted to grab this book that I got from a friend of mine. Thank you, Katrina. She gave me this awesome book on the costume history. So there it is. It's a publisher, but it has amazing references in it. I'll show you this one. So there we go. There's the ladies and all the hats I was trying to look at. So there's some great ribbon color ideas. I'm going to work with this green one for right now. I like that one. So let me jump into that. Put my reference over here. I need more table space. I'll just set it down here on my easel. I can do that. Or not. I'm going to have to put it on my table here to the right. I'll just have to keep looking over here. Okay, so I've got my green. I'm going to use this permanent green light. Once again, I'm trying to find the mid-tone to work with first, and then everything will be lighter or darker from here. So I got my green on there. And I'm going to start with the lower part first, since I really want this to be a distinctly different color. So I'll go ahead and just do one here. And this on the photo kind of transitions to a teal. So I'll just keep this really light. I'll probably just go through it just to get the colors down. Just spread this one through. This once again is the first pass, which is more of a wash. It's okay if it hits the hair a little bit. It's fine. We want the colors to kind of mix through together. I know I'm breaking my rule on, doing the strokes in the direction of the object, but for the first pass through, I don't think it's necessary because all the other layers will correct that. I just want to get a clean line across. Alright, there we go. It's a nice wash. Just kind of go over top of that one a little bit. This will be some ruffles. Okay. I'm going to take a step back. As I remember I mentioned, it's good to check yourself from a distance. Alright. So it's definitely a new color I'm adding into it. It's a variation of the greens and teals, but it works. It's still pulling a lot of the colors from the dress and the background, so it's nothing too off color palette, which is why I just wanted to check in on, and then deciding how to go from there. So I'll probably go in one more time with the darker color and get that set. Still haven't fully decided if I want that top part to also be green or add a different color. I mean, their headpieces are so opulent. I don't think it would hurt to make that a different one. I'm going to set the bottom one first and then make that decision later. So I'm going back into this green again because it's probably dry by now and I could just add another layer. So there's that green. Focus in there. Okay. And I'm going to start to give it more of a gradient. So I'm going to just work the darker green on this side. Kind of bring it down some. The blue would be right there. I add some more inside. So we'll just kind of transition between these two. And like I said, the fun part at the end is when you start to add all the fun little details that makes it what it is. Looks like I'm losing some light. It's kind of getting hard for me to see. to move the light source, which means I'm going to change angles. Let's see if I can get this set up. One moment, I pause. I will cheat on the teal. There's just some colors I can't mix. I don't know if it's possible, or teal is definitely one of them. I just can't get a true teal. So I will be cheating on that one and using a prepared color. But I will probably be mixing some other colors into it because that's what really kind of keeps the color palette more in sync, is if you pool colors that you're already using into it. And it won't be some like off random color that's all of a sudden sticking out like a sore thumb. Okay, this looks a little dark, but I think it's gonna dry lighter, I think. I will check in on that later. If not, can correct. Okay, a little bit more on the side. Yeah, and these tutorials, or I wouldn't really call them tutorials, more just, you know, come join me while I'm painting video. I'm always open for if you have any questions about the process or whatnot, anything I could do to kind of help teach, feel free to ask. I know that the highest quality production videos, I'm sure my head is covering this, probably like right in the shot. Let me back out. All right, take a step back now. Try not to trip over cords. All right, that looks good from here. Once again, I had to change the lighting, so I might want to just let that dry and hold off for a little bit. And kind of check in on it again later. I think that's good. Now I can go up to the blue and add a little bit more in that. I also want to kind of give it a cream color in between. So let me first get that blue going. Makes me so sad when my paint's dry on my palette. I can't use them anymore. All right, so I'm going to be using this magnesia blue. Let me focus. There we go. Okay, back to her. And that's going to happen around the top part of the band and her lovely hair. So it's going in again into my paints. And I watered it down a little bit. So I already have some light blue happening, but for everything under here, I'm going to make it just a little bit darker. Once again, that's where the light's going to come in. So it's going to be slightly darker than the rest. Okay, here I might get a little bit more light coming in, so I'm just going to do the bottom part and a little bit to the left. The B is going to be shading a little bit, so I'll do that there. And tuck a little bit under there. Once again, the medallion will probably be covering most of this, but it just kind of keeps me on track. And plus, I might change my mind. I might not put a medallion in there, so I want to make sure that is covered correctly. Okay, and I'll probably tuck some under here, a little bit darker. Yeah, I'll probably just stick to this blue. I don't want to do ultramarine blue. That's a little bit too dark. I think that's about it. I might put a little bit more in there. And I'll just do another pass along this side. Okay, I'll let that dry, and I'll go back in later with the whitish cream in between. So now just kind of looking at the middle band. Now that I have my colors set, I'm going to take a look at the middle band and decide what I want to do with that. So I'm going to take a step back here for a moment. The idea of orange is kind of being tossed around in my head. There are some pinks and reds, but I think her hair's got enough pink going on. I don't know if I want to repeat that again. Or I could just do the green again, but I don't know, I kind of like the green as itself. So what I might do, the orange and yellow keeps coming back in my head. And I don't know if I'm going to do bands because I think there might be too many bands happening now that I'm looking at it. So I'm just going to do an orangish kind of, orange yellowish band color here and not do the stripes. I might go in later and put dots or something, just give it some other decoration. So going into my orange, make sure I have that. Which of course can easily put together with yellow and red, but I have so many colors I need to use and some of them are already pre-mixed, so it would be nicest to use that. That looks like I don't have it in the studio. It's probably outside. All right, let me get this red open. And I'm going to mix a little bit of this. I might do the Naples yellow because this red is really strong. This is a cadmium red light right there. And it's really, really bright. I don't know if I want that bright. It's right there. So I might mix it in with some of the Naples yellow, which is right there. So let me see how that looks real quick. Then I'll decide if I'm gonna jump in on that one, commit or not. It's kind of turning like a salmon pink color. I could hang with that. All right, so it's pretty wet. Once again, it's just the wash. I think I want to jump out the stripe pattern for this one. Ooh, that might be super bright. Hang on, I'm backing up. Okay, I'm gonna mute it down a little bit with the more of the Naples. That's a little too much for me. Let's see if I can get this softer peach color. Okay, that's better. All right, so we have some nice, orange peach color with the blue, kind of sky blue, and the green. I think these colors could hang together once I get, that kind of yellowish white, more of that cream color on the top of the blue. But you never know. I might take a step back and go, oh no, that doesn't work. So let me just get this set and then I'll take a look-see. Get that down there under the flowers. Take out the side a little bit. There's lots of leaves from that side. Okay. Put that there. And, all right, let me take a look. Okay, I think that works. It's working enough, especially to get some other decorations going on. All right, so let me go in and, since I'm not fully set on what decorations are going to happen here, I'm not going to touch that yet. I'm going to go in and go back to the top. It's definitely dry by now, so I can work in that kind of creamish color. So I'll probably keep this Naples yellow and use some of the white, which is dried out. 1 second. We've got titanium white here. Boom, zoom in. There we go. Let's focus. And just drop a piece on my palette. All right, so I'm going to turn this more of that cream color that I was looking for with the blue. right, almost there. Okay. So once again, kind of anchoring my finger, make sure I don't paint all over it. That was a little bit too white. Let me try it again. All right, that seems to be muted a little bit more, but I can always go back and correct, so not a big deal. I just want to get this paint down so I can start to see it. Here, right by the B. See every little spot there. I'm gonna have to go buy some finer brushes. I'm getting some really tight details here. Another trip to the art store soon. And yes, on another note, this is an expensive hobby. But there's things you can do to make it less expensive, and like I said, using Tupperware for palettes, or not buying the really nice stuff until you're ready to take on more of artist grade stuff. Paintbrushes are expensive, and you do go through those a lot, especially when they lose their form. That's probably the biggest cost. And the oils do get a little pricey. Okay, I'm gonna take a step back here. So some of the blue is blended in with the cream, which is fine. And that's okay. All right, I'm gonna go back in with the blue again. I think I want the lightest part of the blue a little bit more prominent. It's a little bit too light for me. Let's see what I could do with this. I'm just going to try to grab some white without attacking that other color that's really nice. Okay, there we go. It's more of a sky blue. Get the top up here. I'll go back in and really work those darker ones a little bit more. I'm starting to get a little bit more detailed work on these. Just trying to get cleaner lines, since this is, it is a ribbon. So there's going to be some precision on the lines. It's not like nature that's a little more sporadic and chaotic. This is something manufactured, so gotta give it those clean lines. I really want to start tucking this band. There's another band. There's two bands stacked on top of each other, so I really want to show that these are separate. Yeah, get a little bit more water on this. Not too much. A little bit more water because it's not smooth as I was hoping it would be. I might have to go back in again and set the light part. So it's getting a little bit darker than I want. But it's starting to look like it's rounded out a little bit more. Yeah, hide this piece there and that piece. Okay. And then probably what this will be is just a brownish shadow. That's what I got for some decent browns. I do like the burnt umber. See that one there? And this one will be mixed with the Naples yellow. I don't want it too strong. Okay, so sadly I didn't have any more of that, but I'm going to use the raw sienna and this raw umber. You can't read the label, but that's raw umber. So I'll be using those together and trying to also work in the Naples yellow. So it's not so crazy dark. So mixing those two browns. Let's see what I get. Probably my mid-tone. So I'm going to go in and just basically kind of put a shadow happening underneath here. Just show that this is separated. Maybe just get a little bit more. I might use some of it to darken these areas a little bit. It's just more of like a, you know, a hue on it. It shows up a little more in the cream color because it is darker, but it just looks like it darkens up the blue somewhat. I'll go down here and do the same. Just really want this to start looking like it's tucking under. Okay, I'm going to go back in with my cream, and looks like this spot is a little dirty with the blue. So I'm going to pull some of that color and bring it back in because we want that a little bit brighter. There we go. And those brights right against the darks, you know, really stand out well. This one's by the hair. Excuse me, what I'll probably do is when I get the final details, just, you know, take a few hair strands and bring them down just to look like things are overlapping a little bit more. Okay. Taking a step back here. Yeah, that's good. I probably want to go in again and just do one more smooth out. Just basically kind of taking, you know, some color and blending it like that part there. Just kind of getting rid of those really defined lines. Just a little bit of water and just kind of sporadically moving your brush around a little bit just to break it up. And I do have some ultramarine blue, so I might just do a little bit on the bottom of the band before I lose it. This stuff dries so fast. So I'll come in here. Just work this a little bit on the bottom. It is quite a pretty color. I do like this color. Very, very rich though. So I might do a few lines just across the bottom, try to bring some of that dark blue in. And it kind of helps to push it back a little bit more. I don't want it to look like a perfect straight line, so I'm trying to bring some curves around it. Maybe darken this one up a little bit. Okay. All right, it's looking more like a band. This thing's got some form to it. And once again, since I have the ultramarine blue, I'm probably just going to take some of that, just trying to keep this all like a uniform palette, and I'm going to take it into the hair in some very dark areas. This is also going to be fairly thin lines, so I'm going to start over here. Just want to give the suggestion. We've got some dark pieces happening in here. Remember, it always comes on a little bit darker and then it lightens up a little bit, so don't be freaked out. If you put one on and think it's too dark, it will lighten up. These are moments where, once again, I kind of hold my breath a little bit more because it's such a precise moment. You just gotta be still and quiet, so won't be too much talking right now. A little water. I turn my other camera on and get that really close lens. You can see all the little brush strokes. Next video I'll put the lens that zooms in a little bit more. I'll save some of this for that. Alright, so I'll put some darks down here, a few up here, mainly down here though. And I'm just going to get some of the top. Hopefully you can see from your side that it is getting a little bit darker. Like I said, there's kind of some intense lights on this right now though, so I don't know if it's translating quite right. Get up here around this corner, some up here. Really keep the dark areas down here. You see it just makes that purple just a little bit deeper. Work that angle. Okay. There we go. Then I'll probably put some more around this corner. Tuck it under. Get some around the edge here. Definitely some right here by the eye. Definitely down there. All right. I'm taking my step back. Okay. I think that's good for now with the hair. I'll probably hold off a little bit and just kind of let that dry and come back and see if I want to change anything. Give it a day. Something might visually bother you. You want to go back in and correct it. But I think when I go back in, I'll be working some more on the flowers, the feathers, and I might also do one last pass on the sky because getting close to this, want to get a lot of detail happening up here, and once I start to really pound in more of that detail, I want to make sure that this whole sky is set the way I want it to be, so the clouds and everything in this background. So I'll be kind of working back and forth on that. But yeah, spent a good amount of time, so it's nice to get a good chunk of time in on painting. Thanks to my hubby for taking our daughter out for the birthday party so I could stay home and paint.